This is TimeOut Corner, and you are in the corner. On today's show of Talk News Radio, TimeOut Corner will be discussing Cape Town, South Africa on day zero. So, if you haven't known or you haven't heard about, Cape Town, South Africa is about to be in a crisis because they are running out of water. Now, I actually heard this story from CNN, and again, TimeOut Corner don't care where you get the news from, the information from. As long as the information is correct, I will look at it and go over it. So it doesn't matter to me. So, anyways, I did go to the Cape Town government website. That's capetown.gov.z alpha. Anyways, so on the government website of Cape Town, you have the executive mayor Patricia De Lilly, and another article on the government website. You have executive deputy mayor Alderman Ian Nelson. Hopefully I said those both right. Anyways, I'm just going to bunch them both together, and I don't feel like figuring out which one said what. But I do know which one said what. I'm just going to say that. Mayor Alderman said, or at least in the article, they're pretty much trying to say that they're rolling out some pretty big measures to try to across the city, and they're going to be installing thousands of water management devices on properties or houses of people who are high users of water. So it could be businesses, people, homes, pretty much anybody who's not helping out the cause of trying to save water because they have restrictions in place. And actually these restrictions have been in place since 2005 because they've been having water issues. So they put restrictions in place. I don't know if it's for the whole year or just certain times of the year when they're having droughts. But what it seems like is before the restriction was around 100 liters a day, which is around 26 gallons. But that's been moved to 50 liters a day per person, which is around 13 or 14 gallons of water a day. And day zero used to be April 22nd, but that got moved back to April 12th because apparently a lot of people aren't helping out the cause. They wanted to get the water usage down to 600 million liters a day, but it's sitting around 660 million liters a day. So they're not happy about that. They're trying to help out everybody. They're trying to ask everybody to, because these restrictions are in place, but apparently, since a lot of people aren't abiding by them, they're going to be installing thousands of water management devices on people who are using a lot of water. And I'm guessing if they go over the limit, it's going to get shut down. And they need to try to save water. Now, why is this happening? Could be a lot of reasons. They are in where they're located. It just doesn't rain a lot. Now CNN says climate change, and also on the Cape Town government website they mentioned at least once changing climate. But CNN mentions it a few times, and a few more times than I thought they should have. The reason why I say that is because I'm looking at the population. CNN also mentions population growing quickly. Could also be a reason. To me, that's the main reason why they're running out of water is because the population's growing. It's not because of climate changing. To me, it's nothing to do with climate. It has something to do with climate changing because the climate changes every year. It goes up some years, it goes down some years, it goes up some years. It stays up or constant for a few years in a row. Then it gets hotter out of nowhere. It stays constant for years out of a row. Then it gets cooler out of nowhere. It rains decently for a few years, and then it goes out of nowhere for like 10 years. So it does this. The weather doesn't constantly go up, get hotter, or get colder. It doesn't constantly rain a lot, or it doesn't constantly every year just get hotter and hotter, hotter and hotter. It doesn't constantly every year get colder, 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 colder. It doesn't constantly every year just rain more, rain more, rain more, rain constantly. No. But one thing that's constantly going up in one direction is the population. So ding, ding, ding to me says population is the main issue if it's rapidly going quickly. Now, when I say that, I mean that because I did a little digging, not much. I'm no expert on this field, and I don't know exactly where to look for these things, but I did try to look a little bit, and I found the website called Weather Underground, and they have historical data for weather and stuff like that for places around the world. Cape Town's on there, so good. And you can check the month, date, and year. So I floated around January 27th, and I looked pretty much at 2018 all the way back to like 2014. And what it looks like to me is they track temperature, degree days, dew point, precipitation, wind, sea level pressure, astronomy. They track a lot of stuff. So it's a pretty decent website. And what I looked at was pretty much was the temperature and the precipitation, because I don't know what else really to look at for that. for this stuff, like some expert in this field. So if anybody's an expert in this field, they can jump on. We can have a podcast discussion. You can shine me in on these things. That's why we do on TimeOut Corner. We try to get as many people as possible to try to help with news, to try to do research, and we all can have discussions, live discussions, and also to help out with the news and stuff like that. People that are close to a story, we can do research on it. Anyways, so what I saw was 2018, the temperature is hotter this year than it was last year and the year before, but it's cooler than it was at least for around this time of the year. But it's cooler than it was in 2015, at least for this time of the year on this date. That's all I'm checking. The precipitation is pretty much the same average-wise from 2018 back to 2013, 0.01 inches, pretty much the same average-wise. But the max is what's different for precipitation. The max this year is lower than it was 2017 and 16, but it's way higher than it was in 2015. So what I'm saying is, looking at those numbers, you all can go to the Weather Underground and check for yourself. I'll post a link down to the actual page that you can, check for Cape Town, South Africa in the description below. But what it looks like to me is, and you guys can, if you know any other places you can look up and do some better weather analyzing than I did, then so be it. Then we can have some talk. Because we'll be doing this for every story we can have discussions and podcasts for in the future and stuff like that. But anyways, what I saw was that, to me, it didn't seem like, since it was hotter and rain less, at least around this time in 2 years ago, 2015, than it is now, then I can't really say whether it's the issue. To me, the big glaring issue is population growing, and with the population constantly growing, with nothing to accommodate the resource for that population growing, then that means that resource is just going to get drained faster than it was before. That's why in 2015 or before, because on CNN they say this is the worst drought in over a century, which to me means they've had droughts like this before in the past, but they didn't have these issues to where they're running out of water to this extent, to where the mayors are having to install thousands of water management devices on people who are using a lot of water more than they want. So this means that wasn't an issue before the changing climate, whether it was getting hotter, whether it was getting colder, whether it's raining more or less throughout the years, because like I said, the weather's changing constantly. It's not always going hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter. If it's the worst drought in over a century, which means that it used to be hotter before. They had worse conditions before. So it can't just be, that's not the issue to me. The issue is population is growing, and it looks like they're trying to do something. I read something, I believe, on either on the government website or wherever I read it, that I believe they're going to try to bring in third party or companies to try to ship water there. Because even though if they run out of water, they're still going to have water available. Because I'm sure the government's going to take measurements in their own hand and start, whether it's their government institute or whether it's a third party company, wherever the case may be, or external company or internal company, wherever the case may be, they're going to try to find somewhere to get water into the people's hands. Now, it's going to be rationed out, but I'm sure they're going to find a way. And it looks like people are already going to the extremes and trying to save water, trying to help out the cause, doing some good things I've seen with the water usage, using whatever they cook with, using water that they cook with, they're using that to flush the toilet with, help flush the toilet with, water that they shower with, they're taking that water, using to flush the toilet with. So people are doing some good things to save water, but apparently there are also a lot of people who aren't saving the water, saying, F it, we're taking these hour-long showers, if I didn't say that already before. And I guess the mayors are like, you know what, we can't do it. That's why they had to move the date up from April 22nd to April 12th, because they're just not saving water like they need to. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if the mayors are, taking them good old hot tub showers, in them hot tubs, I'm just playing. Anyways, but yeah, that's all I want to say. TimeOut Corner first story. Now, what I'm going to do on this channel is I will be constantly going back to stories that I do. This is just my first one. I feel like this was a good story to do first. Did a little research on it, did a little reading up on it. I read all the CNN information. I went to the government website on both government pages or both government stories that they posted. And I pretty much see what they said, read the whole story. The first one from the government website was from 30 May 2017. The second one is from this year, 22/18, or 22nd January 2018, which means they had to update it, which is when they moved the date back, which was why they lowered the consumption rate of the water from 100 to 50 because they're realizing that it's not working out. But anyways, and I also went to the Weather Underground website, and I'll post the Weather Underground website, and I also post both Cape Town articles or both Cape Town government website articles in the description below, and you could research. You can Google other stories about this if you would like. But anyways, yeah. So in the future we'll be having podcasts. I'll be doing another story on this. I'll be doing another video on this story just to go over it, see if there's any new information, see if I got anything wrong, or if we have people who want to join on the podcast talk about it, we can do that too. Anyways, next story is going to be whatever. I'm not sure yet. We'll see. But yes, TimeOut Corner. TimeOut Corner out. Thanks.